Hello and welcome back to 3-Day Weekend. Got old Provolone on its home away from home up on the lift. We've got some bad bushings today, upper front A-arm bushings. We're gonna change them today. Let's do it. In the last video, I replaced the lower front A-arm bushings because they were really bad. But now that those are fixed, I've noticed that these ones are a little bit loose. Let me see if I can show you that. And this is the front of the passenger side A-arm. Can you see that movement? That's what I'm dealing with. It's just enough that I can feel it in my steering wheel, and it's really driving me crazy. So we're gonna tear those apart and get them replaced. That should take care of the rest of the play and the clunking that I've been going through in the front end of this machine. All right, the first step we're gonna, oh, you helping me today, buddy? Don't mind him. First step, we're gonna remove the tire. Those are held on by some 19mm bolts. And then we're going to remove this lower shock mount. That's held on by 15mm. Now this brake caliper, the protector, all that good stuff, won't let me take that ball joint out unless I take it off. So we're going to remove that first. We got a 15mm there, 15mm there. Once that's out of the way, we've got a 15mm nut and bolt going through that ball joint. We're going to loosen that up. And then the washer went on the nut side on this through bolt for the shock. And I just noticed, look how much play there is right here. Is that normal? Seems like that shouldn't be normal. So I'm not sure what I got going on there. We're gonna look into that a little closer. Now this next part's gonna be a little tricky. This brake line is attached, rivet, goes up here, rivet, and it goes up here, rivet, and then it goes up here, and there's another rivet, and then, I don't know, there's probably more. So we can't take the A-arm out of the vehicle the way it sits. I've seen some people drill these out and replace them with something different, or drill them out and then replace them with a new rivet. I don't have a rivet gun, so I'm going to try the method where I just bend this up a little bit and see if I can sneak it out the bottom. And then do it again there, and then do it again there. Because I really want to be able to take this entire A-arm out and put it on the bench to work on it. Well, that plan didn't work. They're out of some sort of very brittle material, so as soon as you bend them, they snap right off. So I've got my caliper disconnected, hanging like you're supposed to from the hose itself. So now I can keep working, but I'm gonna have to order some new clippers to hold those back on. Maybe even get myself a rivet gun. That'll be new. Haven't had one of those yet. We're on to the bolts. This one is a 16mm head with an 18mm nut. We can get that off. And then this one, I can't see the other end. So I'm gonna get this guy off first, and then we'll look at that one and see what needs to be done. From the looks of it, it's behind the winch. So that'll be fun to get to. Next up, the sway bar. 18mm nut and an 18mm head. Ignore my rig. It's fine. Before I get too carried away, I'm gonna start hitting this and pop that ball joint out of there. And the only thing holding it in is the front mount. Gonna pop this piece off. We got 6 T40 screws holding this on. The long ones go in the top. It's looking like if we take off the front assembly, we'll be able to get to that nut, which is back in there. It's held on by 1, 2, 3, 4 15mm bolts. That is quite an assembly hanging over there by a wire. There are 2 little push pins up here. I had to pull those out. Would have been nice to know before I got the bolts out. And the top 2 bolts feed through the nuts, so you got to hold the back side of them. But with that gone, looky there, I've got clean access to that front mount. So I'm gonna pop that off real quick. That was an 18mm nut, 18mm head. Now I should be able to pull this bolt out. It's got a washer on it, on the head side, right there. It's a shiny bolt, it's been clean. And now the A-arm comes right out, and parts of the bushing fall out immediately onto the floor. Bushing time. We've got that one with the shoulder on it, another one with a shoulder on it. We've got that one with no shoulder on it. The other side, no shoulder on it. And a sleeve. Oop, which was eager to come out. Yeah, there's the play right there. Look at that. That is tore up. Ooh, rusty. Rusty. So the shiny part will be worn down the wrong diameter, which is why I always replace those sleeves every time I take them apart now. And that leaves us with 3 bushings. 1 in here, 2 in there. If you've seen the lower AR video, then you know what we're about to do. On this one, yeah, there is a retaining ring, like a snap ring, but with no teeth on it, holding that in, and it's awful. We got to work that out with a screwdriver. Absolutely terrible. It's just miserable. These ones we can work out just by hitting them with my special tool right here, which is a drill bit that I have ground that into sort of a little pointy hook thing. And we stick that through, and it'll catch on that one, hit it with a hammer, and we have to drive it out that way. We have to drive these out because there is a metal ridge in the middle that prevents them from traveling toward the center. So pound that one out, go back, pound this one out. But this ring is a nightmare, and I hate them, and you have to replace the ring when you put a new one in. Just terrible. So I'm gonna go throw this in the vise and start prying on it. Can you see this little ring in here? It's all rusted, and all it's got is a gap from here to here. And you just gotta pry in there and try to get that ring out. The last time I did this, I ended up just chipping away at this with a screwdriver and a hammer and got the old bushing out, then used a Dremel and polished toward the edges to weaken that ring, and then I was able to fold it in. So I'm gonna try to grab it for a little bit before I revert to just breaking this bushing out of here. I hate this part, I hate it. Oh my gosh, I think I figured out the trick. Oh yes. That is the first time I've pulled one out whole. See, there's just not a lot to grip. I don't want to get too close to get blurry. But if you can get a screwdriver in there and pop it out, then you got it. I think the trick was bashing out this old bushing first, so it's not putting pressure on it. And then you can get the ring out. That seemed to do the trick. Okay, well now I'm just gonna flip this around. See what I did? I just chopped it with a screwdriver and a hammer. Cuts through pretty easy, and then you can chip it out. Get that out of the way. Cool. That's honestly the worst part of this entire job, is getting that stupid ring out of there. And for my next trick, we're just going to pound out these bushings. Alright, I'm going to zoom you out so you can see my completely disastrous workbench. We're over at the press now. I've got parts 5452271, 3 of them. And we're going to put them in here. You can do it without a press, but I feel like the press is a nice, clean, easy way to do it. I got a wire brush. Trust me, under all that grease, there is a wire brush in there. I'm just gonna clean these out real quick because gunk builds up. You don't want all that garbage in there. Actually, the one with the stinking ring in it is pretty clean. So clean that up, press these in. Once you got them cleaned up, I like to take a little bit of grease and just smear that around in there real good. I don't think it matters which grease you use, but I try to run a marine rated one. This one, Mobile one, synthetic grease. The other side too. Greasy. That'll just help it slide in better. Yeah, that's what she said. I'm gonna pop this little snap ring in. They usually go in pretty easy. It's coming out that is a nightmare. Although, I may have found the trick on that last one. We'll see. And if you have it bushing in all the way, it'll snap right into that channel, nice and clean. Look at that. All right, now we just got to rebuild the rest of it. Or throw these away. We don't need those where we're going. Here's the parts we're going to use. 2 with the shoulders on them. The part number is at 1543998. 2 of those, 1 slide. 5140555 and 2 end caps without the shoulders with no O-ring. 5139992. This is the first time I've seen these come without O-rings on them. Why did they not come with O-rings? These didn't come with O-rings. None of these came with O-rings. I swear the last ones came with O-rings. Otherwise I would have ordered new O-rings. Well, I should probably pull these out of the trash then, because we're going to have to reuse the O-rings. Not too happy about that. Maybe I'll write to old Partzilla there and say, why didn't these come with O-rings? What's the deal? Alright, well, we're going to stick the ones with the shoulders on them, and that guy, the same side with the ring that we hate so much. The slide goes in here with 2 of the shallows on it, and these have a taper, and the taper faces out from the bushing. We'll get this all put back together. Got everything back in, so now we're headed back to the machine. As long as your frame isn't bent too bad, it should go right in. We're gonna put the front bolt in. It's a big dog. Washer goes toward the head. There we go. Once again, washer goes toward the head. Oh, that went in easier than I expected, because we're gonna have to trick it, pull it out a little bit. Get that nut started. There we go. Just getting rid of these rivets, just taking a punch, blunt end, whatever, hitting it with a hammer. There's not much to them, so just a few good hits. And it'll pop right out. Oops. A couple more love taps here. There you go. And we are rivet free. Get the upper ball joint in. It's easier the higher you get this thing. So I just take a piece of wood and then we're just gonna prop it like that. Then we get this lined up. Nice and straight. And rubber mallet. See this little channel? That's what we want lined up with the bolt hole. So don't go too far. This one's the thread goes to the back and the washer goes on the nut side. For the sway bar link, the threads face forward. There are no washers. And we have to lift it when we try to put it in. There we go. Ah, that went through not too bad, not too bad. Last thing we got is our shock. Oh, we still got a loose ball joint, so it's not totally our last thing. We're gonna put this bolt in there. Threads are facing forward, and the washer goes on the nut side. There we go. We're gonna tighten that down to pretty stinking tight with our 15mm, which just happens to be the same size as our ball joint. So it's a 2-for-1 special here. This side's done. No more play by hand, so that's a good sign. Now we get to do the entire other side. I'll just time lapse real quick for that before we put the nose back together. Got her all back together, minus these brake lines. Now these ones I pried off, remember, and they just completely destroyed themselves. And then I've got this side over here where I just took out the rivets and left the clamps intact. Turns out the way you want to do this is this way, because these clamps come with the brake line and you can't get them separate. So pop the rivet and there you go. But now how do you get the rivet in? Well, I ran down to the old Harbor Freights and picked myself up a swivel head hand riveter. It's new, and it came with all those rivets, and it cost me $9.99. We're gonna see how that works. I also picked up some clamps. I got some nylons and some metals, but the nylon clamp was a better fit. The 1/2 inch was just a little bit loose, and the 3/8 I felt was just maybe a little bit too tight. So I'm gonna run 5/8 and just have a little bit of room for them to move, just a little bit. They can't move far. But I'm gonna run the nylon and see how well they hold up. If they don't hold up, we'll switch to the metal, but I think those are gonna be perfect. So I'm gonna grab this rivet gun and start on this side and see if I can rivet those back into place. Never did rivets before. We're gonna try a 5/32 rivet. I'm pretty sure you just stick it in there and push this down on there and you squeeze. Oh, look at that. That worked really well. Yeah, 5/32. Oh, and then the end of it falls out of the gun and onto the floor. Cool. Well, rivets are easy. I'm gonna set this up and get this last guy up here, and this guy there. We're gonna put our bigger clip on there. Oops, this direction. Slip that on. Stick a rivet down in there. There it goes. And that one is riveted. Pretty simple. This middle one though, you can't do it with the shock in the way. So we'll take that out, hang the shock up like I was doing on the other side. This one you can get though. The head swivels on this tool, so you can kind of get it in a pretty narrow spot. I'm surprised at how easy that works. But that's all you got to do. I'm doing the plastic new rivets on this one. I already did that one. I can't get over how easy these rivets go on. Why am I just now finding out? There we go. And the last one. Just like that. Worry about the strength of this one. It feels like there's a little bit of pressure up here on that guy. So that one might get a metal upgrade later. But for now, that is pretty good. All right, let me get the shock back on. We should be able to wrap this up. And we did it! It's done! Yay! Making sure, double check all your bolts. 4 A-arm bolts, sway bar bolt. your shock bolt, 2 in the caliper, and your ball joint on each side. That's pretty much it. And yeah, for the win, that taking that bushing out and breaking it into pieces, then pulling that ring out, oh my gosh, 2 for 2. That was the easiest thing. I went into this job dreading taking that ring out, but that method, it pops right out, it was nothing. Ended up, one of the bolts in the lower A-arm ended up being a tougher job, or no, the upper, this guy. That ended up being tougher than that darn ring was. That, I don't know, it fought me the whole way, but I got it. So we've done the lower A-arm bushings, that was another video. Now we've done the upper A-arm bushings. We've done the sway bar bushings. We've done all kinds of stuff to this machine. I put everything in a playlist. It'll be up on an end card. So anything I've ever done to the Pro XP, you can find it easily on the playlist. You also might consider subscribing because I'm always working on this machine. I'll put everything on there. And I really appreciate every subscriber we get. If this helped you out, give me a thumbs up. Really appreciate it. And I hope to see you back here for another video right on 3-Day Weekend.